Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys all had a good weekend. Let's go ahead and get into some watch list building for tomorrow. So I'm just going to talk about some tickers that we have on watch for tomorrow, and then later on in this week, as well as the end of the session, I'll open up for questions. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. Then for future reference, we go live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. So the session is always uploaded to YouTube in case you cannot make it. But yeah, this is a weekly thing. So if you like what you see here and this helps you out, tune into the future sessions. I have this daily chart time frame pulled up here. This is the chart for /ES. So this is the future that SPY follows. And as of now, it's not really telling us much about tomorrow's session. So there's still a lot of time until market open. But I like to review this chart because what it does is gives us an overall outlook on what to expect in the market. And here's kind of what I see. So not much has changed since last week. All of this big range right here, I'll just draw a box around it. We've been consolidating for, what is this, like 2 weeks right here. Over 10 trading days. And we've been using this level right at 3,200 as a support point. So I'll just draw a flat line support right there, with resistance being right around the highs. So 3,280. We might as well say 3,300 is the resistance. But if you haven't noticed, the market's been very non-directional lately. So it's been tough to trade. And this is likely why. We haven't had a whole lot of direction. Just kind of been trading in this consolidation zone for quite some time. Some indecision here. Don't know if the market's building a base at this point for the next leg up, or if it's just kind of consolidating because we're about to get a trend change. And if you notice, I have this support trend line drawn across the bottom at this point, and now we're kind of intersecting right at this 3,200 level. So hang tight, especially if you are just starting to trade. We're going to get some movement eventually, but this range has got to break to either side. I don't mind the ranging. The reason why is because it gives us a clear line of support to the bottom and resistance overhead, and it makes it really easy to trade, in my opinion, once one of those levels breaks. So market direction is going to be key heading into this week with a break over. You can set alerts at 3,300 top side. We'd be bullish with a break over that point, and a break below 3,200, the support line. Maybe we can start to look to short the market. So set straddle alerts at those levels, and let's just keep it simple, right? Plan to play the break of the range. As for the watch list for tomorrow, the first one that we're going to be looking at is Microsoft, and these are in no particular order, by the way. Okay, so Microsoft. Just like with /ES, how we saw it was building a range, Microsoft is also building a range here. We would expect this bottom line to be a support point. That's 200. It's a nice even whole number. Those whole numbers will usually act as natural areas of support within the market. And it's also close to this 50 EMA, which is this green dotted line. You see a few times we've pushed away from this price point. Or this indicator. It likes to kind of pull back and treat this indicator, get pretty close to it as a support. And so we're pulling back to that point right now, with resistance being right around 205. Now this one's a little different because it's already broken the range. So with /ES, we have straddle alerts set and we're waiting for a break of the range. If we go into the 5-minute chart time frame, this is already broken out to the top side of the range. All right, so what we're going to be looking for at this point is the top side to hold as a support, and we're going to look to take it long over whatever the pre-market high is. I love this setup. They also have some news about the TikTok purchase. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's an app that's it's pretty popular right now, And China previously owned the app. Microsoft is wanting to purchase the U.S. operations side of it. So yeah, it's just a security, like a data issue. But yeah, that's going to be bullish news in my opinion, and it's likely going to be priced in by the time that market opens. So whatever the pre-market high is what we're going to look to take it long over, with a short below 205. So if it doesn't move at all, right, we'll be looking to take it long over 207 at this point, and with a short probably being at 205, because if it broke the range and we know that old resistance should become new support, then a failure to hold 205 as a new support means what? We're trading back into the range, right? So that's why 205 is the short trigger. The long trigger being, whatever the pre-market high is at this point, it's 207. That's likely to change in the morning. We also have, if you drew like a trend line across the top here, you can see this trend line has been overall acting as a resistance too, right? So hit a resistance, pulled back, hit the resistance, pulled back, and now we're hitting that resistance again. So we might have a trend change here from where, we're no longer trading down. If we break over the trend line, we might start trading back up to the highs. But yep, that's it for Microsoft. So these levels, guys, they're always subject to change in the morning. If Microsoft winds up not opening above 205 and it actually comes down, 200 is probably going to be the short trigger. That just makes sense, right? If we go back to the daily chart, you can see that this support point is right here at 200. So yeah, failure to hold that definitely would be an indication to short this. The second one we'll be looking at for tomorrow is NVIDIA, NVDA. Another setup that I really love, especially if the market goes green. So we've seen a lot of stocks run into earnings. This has earnings coming up on the 19th. It's still a little bit away, right? But we saw that most recently with AMD. See, this was like I think this was like a 20%, yeah, 26% run into earnings. So, we've seen a lot of tickers do this recently. NVIDIA has earnings coming up. It's also trading just under all-time highs, right? There's your general resistance right around 430, and it's been pushing up like this, making these higher lows. So every time it's pulled back, it's been a higher low each pullback. Now we're kind of getting close to breaking out of this point. This is also all-time highs. So if I go on the weekly chart, you can see that, if we break above this 431 area, we're into uncharted territory. So who knows how far this thing can run. There's no resistance overhead once we break that 431.69 point. So we're going to round that up. We're going to say our long trigger is going to be 432, just above the all-time highs. Let me go into the 5-minute chart time frame. This may be playable over 426. Just understand that if it gets over, that price point, 430 that's likely going to be a resistance. If not, then definitely 432 will be a resistance. For me, I like to wait for confirmation. So a break over 432, it's definitely at that point broken the resistance, pushing into all-time highs with no resistance overhead. Then I'm looking to enter, right, on a pullback or something for the continuation move up. So 432 is going to be the long trigger. That's why I said I really like this setup if the market goes green, because it's likely to push with the market, right? Especially if we get like a gap up and then it opens up, let's say right at 430 or 431. Ideally, that's kind of what we're looking for. As for a short, this is not really it's not a bearish setup, so I'm not super interested in shorting a setup like this. But there's a few different ways that we can play it. So let's say that it does open up closer to 426, and then it pushes up to 432. If we see, or 430, if we see a rejection at the highs up here at this resistance, we know this is resistance. If we see a rejection there, then we can look to short it off of the resistance back down. Otherwise, I would feel all right taking a short below 418, and I'm kind of just basing that on the lows here from Friday. But if I even go back to the daily chart, that level is it is fairly significant. So I'll just draw a mark right at 418 so you can see. Yeah, it's like a soft resistance or a soft support. I like to round the numbers off, so I would say something like, you know, maybe 410 or 400 would be a harder level of support or resistance. But 418, I'd feel all right shorting below. It all depends on where it opens up at, though. You know, if it opens up closer to 430, I'm not waiting for it to come all the way down to 418 to take a short position. At that point, you know, that's what I was just describing. I'd be looking for the short off of 430. All right, the third one on the watch list for tomorrow is ZM, Zoom Video. I'll go back to the daily chart. Guys, I always start my analysis on the larger time frames. It just allows me to see, you know, I see all of this data. I get to see the bigger pictures. I see where, you know, the highs are, where the lows are, the overall trend. You know, this is clearly up. I already have a line drawn here. And so that's something we're going to talk about. This 50 EMA, each highlighted box, I've already drawn this out for us. Each highlighted box has been a pullback to the green dotted line, right, being the 50 EMA. And since this like massive run up, it's been pulling back for a few weeks now. And look where we're kind of getting close to, right? The EMA started to catch up to this point. So what we have here, it's difficult to say if this is like a bull pennant pattern or if it's a bull flag. You know, you can call it whatever you want. The idea is the same. We have a downward trend line and we're trading close to the top side of this formation. So even if I wanted to level this out right here, maybe that's something that you identify with better, right? Can you see that? So clearly this is your resistance trend line. With a break over that resistance trend line, we may have room to run here. Volume's been decreasing this entire time during the consolidation. That's what we want to see when a stock is consolidating or forming a pattern. You want to see lower volume on a breakout day. A day, you know, something where it pushes up real heavy, you'll see volume come back in. I don't know if it will be as much as it'll certainly be more than what we see here, right? So that's going to confirm your move, and then from there you can look for a continuation play. I'm putting it on the watch list early because I feel that this has breakout potential. So if I go into the 5-minute chart time frame, we know 260. Actually, I have to go back to the daily. Sorry. We see 260 right here being the old resistance, right? Then it flipped to support a little bit here, most recently a resistance. So for that reason, 260 is going to be a mark to watch. There are a couple of ways that we can play this, and it's going to depend on the movement pre-market, you know, where this opens up at. If it opens up closer to 260, we're going to look to take it long right over 260. I like that move. I feel that it is playable, though, over Friday's high. So 255. If it doesn't move a lot and it decides to just consolidate here into pre-market, 255, we can look to take it long over that price point up to 260. That's almost 2% there, 1.85%. That's enough to take profits on. That's enough for a day trade. We know 260 is a resistance. So from 255 will be the long trigger up to 260. Price target 1. On the flip side of that, you know, if it opens up above 255, we'll be looking at taking it long over 260, which is this, you know, macro level of resistance here on the daily chart. And of course, if it's trading over 260, what's it done? It's broken our trend line here. So it's a few different reasons why 260 would be the better trigger there. But definitely, I think it's playable over 255. Depends on pre-market movement. Another one I'm not super keen on shorting. Maybe 250 because it's a whole number. I don't know, 250, 248, somewhere around there. But yeah, or if it pushes up to 260, right, and it rejects, I would look to short it off that point. Mainly interested in a breakout though. This to me is a breakout setup, not a setup that we want to short. You know, if we short it, I drew this line here at 240 because that's going to be our support point. So I wouldn't even be super interested in shorting this until it started trading closer, like to this mark, right? So if it looked like it was going to just give that support up and come down, 240 would be the mark to short. But I may not even, who knows? I may not even give a short trigger on Zoom. We'll see tomorrow. All right, so the last one for the watch list, the main watch list, is Amazon, and then we're going to talk about side charts. So hang around for a sec. All right, this pushed up on earnings, right? So here's your consolidation into earnings, gapped up, and kind of sold off. 3,100 was the that was the level where it previously traded at before it gapped up, and then here's your gap, right? So that you see that disconnect in price. I kind of drew like a void there. That's going to be your gap area. So if we go to the 5-minute chart time frame, you see, yeah, so pre-earnings, that was your high, and then this is the low of day after earnings. And what we have here is a descending triangle forming above a gap area. So I like gap plays because there's no price action in this void right here. There's not a lot of support and resistance. So the idea is that when a stock enters into the gap, it tries to fill the gap. And because we have a bearish formation here over top of the gap, I'm looking to short this probably over below 3150. So failure to hold this support point that it's previously been holding, I'll be looking to short this into the gap, probably down to 3100 would be the price target, just for a gap fill. And I mainly included this because if the market goes red, I think that this is a likely play, right? So people that are trading this, you know, if traders are taking this long, they're taking it long off of 3150, and so if this falls below that mark and into the gap, what you're going to have is a lot of traders cutting their losses, right? Their stop losses are going to get triggered. That's going to drive this price down more, and it'll probably happen pretty quick if it falls into the gap. The other scenario is that 3150 holds as a support, and we take it long off of 3150. And who knows, maybe 3140, I know that's our highs here. Maybe that would be our something like our price target. I probably would break that down though, like 3200 would be price target 1, you know, just understanding that that's a whole number, and we talked about those whole numbers being natural areas of support and resistance within the market. So a hold at 3150, we can look to take it long up to 3200. Otherwise, we're going to short it into this gap area here. So guys, that's it. That's all that I have for the main watch list. That's Microsoft range break. It's also trading at the 50 EMA support, and there's recent news on that ticker. Nvidia is trading at all-time highs, so we're either looking for that to break out over that resistance point or reject off of that resistance point. ZM is a macro pattern breakout, right? It was forming that either bull pennant or bull flag formation on the daily. Doesn't really matter what it is. The idea is the same, so we're looking for that to break out. And Amazon, possible gap fill here with a descending triangle forming on the 5-minute chart time frame, or a bounce at the support point above the gap and a continuation up. If you haven't been taking notes, then you probably should go back and rewatch this video. So I get like a ton of messages about you know, how I build my watch list, how to find winning stocks, how to build consistency. The charts that we literally just went through, all 4 of those charts, those are 4 examples of winning setups. Whether they play out or not is, you know, it's going to depend on the market tomorrow. But over time, right, you're going to find the setups that work for you, and you're going to learn how to trade them effectively. So trading the same setups over and over and over that's what's going to build that consistency for you. And when you're trading those setups effectively, that's what's going to build the confidence. And in turn, all of that builds accounts. So what I've done here in this video, guys, I've literally done the hard part for you. The hard part is learning, what constitutes a good setup. Your job now is to scour through the specifics and all the details of this video and imprint them in your brain so that you learn and remember everything that I just said, right? So that the next time that you see the setup, you know exactly what opportunity is being presented to you. And you'll likely know how to make a plan for it, how to trade it. I'm literally giving you guys a head start on all of that. I feel that you make your money in the analysis. That's why I do these watch list review videos. The act of trading, it takes no more than 1 to 2 hours daily, right? If you're a member of the group, you see I'm out of here. I'm done trading usually within the first 2 hours of the morning session. I'll come back for like the last hour and a half, but most of my trading is done in the first 2 hours, and then that's it, right? There's no need to sit there and continue to take trades, especially if the ones off the watch list have already hit. So the act of trading takes no more than a couple of hours. It's preparing for that day, going through each chart the night before, choosing all of the best setups, and developing your plan. That's where your time is going to be spent, going through all of these charts. It's my belief that most traders don't even know what a high probability setup is, and I don't even think that they give themselves the time to figure it out, or maybe they're just too lazy to learn, and that's why they fail. And that's why you're not going to fail, because you're here and learning and they aren't, right? So the high probability setups, guys, it's range breaks. These are my high probability setups: range breaks, all-time high breaks, macro pattern breakouts, and gap fills. All 4 of these are presented in this video. If you don't know which one is which, go back and rewatch if you need to, and review and take notes. All right, so let's talk about some side charts. While I'm doing that, feel free to post up anything in the in this chat section right here that you want me to review. And I just ask that you format the review tickers like the watch list with levels that you're watching and why you think it may have potential. It just creates better conversation that way. So the first one for us, side chart watch, is going to be Pinterest. And I have to go back to the weekly chart time frame so that you see this. Old resistance here is at 35. Big gap up from earnings, right? You see that? I'll put the gap there. All right, yeah, massive gap up. But look, this thing traded higher. It kind of pulled back, but traded higher and wound up closing to the top side of this resistance here on Friday. So if it breaks 35, it may have potential to run up and test these highs at see 36.83. So I'm going to set an alert at 37 just in case this 35 alert doesn't go off. This may need time to consolidate. That's why this is a side chart watch. It doesn't really matter that the RSI is this high if they had good earnings and there's a lot of positive news surrounding maybe guidance or something. This can easily just continue to push. So over 35 is where my alert's set. The fact that it's already pushed up so much is why it's a side chart watch and not a main chart watch. It'll become a main chart watch once it gets closer to 37 or if it breaks these highs. But until that point, I just want to know that it's getting somewhere. So alert set at 35, and we'll revisit the play then. Netflix, we've talked about this one. It hasn't changed. Our analysis hasn't changed since last week. It's still using this 50 EMA as a support. It's trading underneath the 500 level of resistance, right? That's a whole number. So have straddle alerts set. I set mine at 470, which is right at the 50 EMA, and then at 500. Definitely a break over 500. I would look to trade this over this price point. So, maybe not day one that it breaks, but day two, if it can get a close over the 500 mark, I would look to trade this as a continuation play back up to the top side here. But until it gets there, side chart watch and just let it do its thing. What was the other one? Oh, AMD. That's right. AMD, yeah, so this one is, we've loved trading this ticker. It's not on the main watch list because NVIDIA's on there, and it's been, you know, we kind of developed a range now. So clearly there's that gap below 74. If I go back to the daily chart, I know I have it drawn here. I'll draw it here for you. So there's your gap below 74. We have a clear resistance here now at 80. So it's right in the middle of this range. Right, so 80 and 74, set straddle alerts and plan to play the break of the range whenever it gets there. This may need to consolidate a little bit. Tesla, TSLA. Big sell-off there on Friday. I just have alerts set at 1400. So it was previously a resistance. It's also a whole number, right? And we know those whole numbers support and resistance naturally in the market. Here's your doji candle kind of holding as support here. And we broke down, Tesla broke down from the recent range there on the 5-day, 5-minute, right? So that was your support point. There's your breakdown trading below. So now we're closer to this 1400 price point. I think it's a short below 1400, but I'm going to keep my alerts set there. You know, and whenever it goes off and closes below that point, we can probably look at taking a trade then. Of course, the big earnings for this week are all also going to be side chart watches. So Roku, BYND, SQ. I shared all of them that I think are notable in the main chat, and I shared them on Twitter also. No, in the newsletter also. I haven't posted them on Twitter. They're in the newsletter though. So go take a look at those if you don't know what earnings are coming up. All of those are also going to be side chart watches. We're looking to trade those the day after earnings, not the day before, or not before they report. Contracts are probably going to be juiced up. So that's it, guys. Thanks for your time. Let's go ahead and get into some of these tickers that you guys have been posting up.